All right. So, ye old game of the year. boy, oh boy, oh boy. I can't believe we're talking about this. I knew I was going to, but I just didn't know if I wanted to. Yeah, fucking Astrobot. 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 Guys. Astrobot. So, I guess for some of you guys who probably may not fully know, I was recently informed of this. No, I'm dissing Astrobot. That game did not deserve Game of the Year. So, for those of you who are probably wondering why, Astrobot won Game of the Year, even though it sold 20 million less copies than Black Myth Wukong. If you're not aware of how these awards are ran, they're actually not. Your vote means fuck all. Your vote on the Game of the Year means fucking nothing. So, God, and if you can find all this information, it has been leaked online, and there has been proof of it, especially throughout the Game of the Year awards voting. Whenever we had the issue with Black Myth Wukong actually getting votes stolen from it. So your vote only counts for like 20% roughly of the game. The rest of it is dictated by fucking journalists. And so obviously the variety of games up there have been given scrutiny from a lot of journalists. And we all know journalists can't play a fucking game, so obviously they're going to enjoy a game that they can beat Astrobot. So like I'm sure Astrobot is a good, fun, like comfortable game. And I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's a good game. I'm sure it's fun, dorky for the whole family. But let's keep it a band. Black Myth Wukong and Astrobot. Astrobot won 6 awards, I believe, for Game of the Year. 6 awards. It sold 20 million less copies than Black Myth Wukong. I think it's like 11 million less copies than Helldivers 2. It sold, I think it was 3 million less copies than Space Marines 2. And obviously, we had games that changed like gaming, right? Space Marines 2 only got like, I think it was only like 2 Space Marines 2 only had like 1 category. But Helldivers did win an award for like best ongoing game, if I remember right. And Space Marines 2 was on a couple of runners, but not very many. So it makes sense that Astrobot would win just simply by the fact that like IGN and Forbes and all those stupid sounds good, Lynn. You have a good one. But like they control the voting on, or they pretty much control who wins. The only way that a game would win game of the year is if it was completely 110% like unanimous voting. The Squid Game thing was to advertise for their dorky game is to advertise for season 2 of Squid Game. I don't even take it seriously. Um and so it makes sense that Astrobot won it in the aspect of journalists control who wins. So it just kind of is what it is. But it shouldn't have won. I was having this conversation with my brother the other day or yesterday. We had like I don't think Shadow of the Erdtree should have been on for Game of the Year. It was a DLC. But Plant AI Cat, yeah. And so it's just a pointless endeavor to an extent. Like all this kind of did was just prove that the Game Awards are a fucking joke. Because it should not have been Astrobot, right? Like I don't even like Elden Rings. And I've played through the DLC. I've played through the main game. I've level 600 some shit. And Elden Ring, I feel like the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC should have been a runner up. Hell, any of the other fucking games other than Astrobot should have been runner up. They sold more copies. They were way more beloved than Astrobot. And they actually made a difference. Like Elden Ring, as much as I don't like the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, the idea that Astrobot made any difference on gaming, it made any difference on changing the fucking world, it made any difference on moving gaming forward is a insane idea. When Shadow of the Erdtree could be the new standard for DLC, we have, oh my god, what were all the runner-ups? I know Shadow of the Erdtree. What were the nominees for Game of the Year? Yeah, we had Black Myth Wukong, which was just a great game. We had Final Fantasy VII, which has set the standard for what gaming remakes should be. Yeah, Silent Hill 2 wasn't on there, which I feel like probably should have taken the place of Balatro, the fucking shit ass roguelike solitaire ass game. Like these games, the Balatro run a shit ton of rewards. Yeah, Metaphor. Metaphor was really loved. Like Balatro and Astrobot have done nothing for the fucking gaming community. Astrobot's just Little Big Planet all over again, and Balatro is fucking roguelike card game. Cool. When we have Shadow of the Erdtree, we had Final Fantasy VII, we had Black Myth Wukong, and we had Metaphor, all setting new standards in gaming. They should be new standards in gaming. If Shadow of the Erdtree isn't a standard for DLC, I would be actually very, very, very surprised, even though it should be. Final Fantasy VII, I have a feeling the Final Fantasy remake is one of the few reasons that the Silent Hill remaster also did really, really, really well. Or the Silent Hill 2 remake. Because there was a standard set with the first Final Fantasy like drop. Like Black Myth Wukong set a really good standard in just gaming, a release of a good game. And it was a release of a good game that was under scrutiny from these journalists that dictate whether or not Astrobot wins or loses. So it is really silly to think that Astrobot deserved Game of the Year when Astrobot and Balatro deserve any of the rewards that they have gotten when there are phenomenal runner-ups for Game of the Year and phenomenal runner-ups for the categories and Balatro and Astrobot were in. They won so many fucking awards, those two games, and Balatro walked away with so fucking many for being nothing special. Like that isn't a like that's not a standard. That game doesn't have a bar in the games that released this year. Like sure, it's not a roguelike card game, Black Myth Wukong, but it's also just a really good game. Sold millions of copies. Yeah. Let's see. What all was it was a nominee. Yeah, one indie game. Uh oh. Oh, Astrobot and Balatro sweep TGA. So I don't think it won that. I think it won more than that. Balatro won Best Mobile Game, Best Independent Game, and Best Debut Indie Game. And then was still a runner-up for Game of the Year. When somehow, all right, somehow, oh my God, I got something in my eye. My apologies. You're going to give me a second. Somehow, magically, Astrobot wins Best Action Adventure Game. Huh? Best Game Direction? Huh? Like, all this did is prove that the Game Awards are more of a fucking joke than they've ever been. This is my brother made a great point. This is an exact example of when Metal Gear Solid 4 lost Game of the Year to Little Big Planet. Because journalists suck at fucking video games. I'm sorry. They're trash. Get actual gamers to be journalists. Then maybe we'll fucking talk. But these motherfuckers can't beat fucking Elden Ring. They can't beat Silent Hill 2, which I even think is the easiest fucking game in the horror genre right now. That is an actual game. Like, Like, Game of the Year is a fucking joke. And I find it absolutely insane that we had some phenomenal titles released this year. And what a surprise, right? That the games that really hit the market, right? The game that have really impacted gaming. Helldivers, Black Myth Wukong, Space Marines 2. Of course, the games that of course, the games that journalists didn't fucking like didn't hold a fucking candle. One award, maybe. Even though, like, it's just such a fucking joke game of the year. It's just such a fucking joke. It is undeniably just fucking stupid. It really is. It really, really is. Literally, they need to get the fucking journalists out of fucking Game of the Year and make it about fucking gamers. Journalists, day in, day out, have proven that they are incompetent and incapable of participating and playing a fucking game. They have proven day in and day out that they are completely out of touch with gaming. And they are more than willing to add in their personal biases per journalist into gaming to further affect gaming. We have seen it day in, day out. We know that this is something that they do, and it has become a joke on fucking gaming because gamers do not agree with 99% of the bullshit that they spew. We all know this, and we've all fucking seen it, and you are absolutely blind or ignorant if you do not believe that that is the truth. And I will not take that back. That if you believe that journalists are an absolute greatness to gaming right now, you are a fool. You are nothing but a fool. And Game of the Year, Astrobot, has proven this because there is nothing about Astrobot that has moved it forward, moved gaming forward. Cool. We got a fun, comfortable game. Nice. So we had that 1,000 times. Mario Party, Little Big Planet, the hundreds of games that have released that are just infinite Nicky right now. Just comfortable games. There has been many releases of them. Simple releases of comfortable games. And it is absolutely fucking dubious of Game of the Year or of journalists to give Game of the Year to Astrobot. It is a betrayal on gamers when all gamers unanimously pretty much fucking agree that Astrobot did nothing. It was just another fucking game. It was a game. And that's a good thing that it was a game, but it brought nothing to the table. It didn't bring anything new. It didn't bring phenomenal visuals like Black Myth Wukong. It didn't bring amazing DLC like a fucking Elden Ring. It didn't bring a fun and creative storytelling with fucking Jay said the name Metaphor. It didn't bring anything to the fucking table that's going to change gaming. There's nothing. There isn't a single thing about Astrobot that is going to move gaming forward. It was just another Atlas game. Exactly. Which is just Atlas does really good shit. And it's just so disappointing that this is where gaming has gone. like this is probably one of the first time. Yeah, they don't ever really break any molds, but Atlas just makes great games, which is good because great games are hard to come by. Like it's not necessarily about also breaking a mold. It's that Atlas still does great things and still makes great games. And they're consistent with it. They're consistent with making great games, which is good. And I feel like that is a break of a mold if you can just consistently make something that people enjoy. And it's so anger inducing that this is where gaming has gone. It is frustrating, it is tiresome, it is annoying. And I find it ridiculous that Astrobot won Game of the Year over nothing impressive happening at all. Like, I'm not even like angry, I'm just mad disappointed. Sure. How did Astrobot win, Jay? Money. Yeah. I could definitely see that. It's just absolutely fucking pathetic. I'm not even like pissed off anymore. I'm just disappointed. Very, very disappointed. It's kind of bullshit. Boy, oh boy. Fuck you, Game of the Year. Fuck you, running.